Now number 4, we're doing the domain of the square root. So for square roots, we have to think about those. If I try to do the square root of a negative number, the square root of a negative number gives you that math error. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I need to set this up so that I can only have a positive number or 0. So I'm going to take whatever is underneath the square root, in this case, negative 6x plus 24, and say that my answers have to be greater than or equal to 0. They can't be negative, so they have to be greater than or equal to 0. And then I'm going to solve this expression. So when I solve this, I'm going to minus my 24. Negative 6x is greater than or equal to negative 24. I have to divide by my negative 6. Keeping in mind that I'm working with an inequality, when I divide by a negative, I reverse my sign. So x is less than or equal to positive 4. Negative 24 divided by negative 6. We want to write our answer using interval notation. Interval notation, that's the thing with the brackets and the parentheses. I think about my answer on the number line. I am less than or equal to positive 4. So from left to right on my number line, this end is negative infinity. I'm going from negative infinity to 4. I can't be on infinity, so it's going to have a parenthesis, but I am equal to the 4, so that's going to have a bracket. So in interval notation, I'm going from negative infinity to 4, including the 4. Number 5 then, the same thing. I'm finding the domain of my function. I know that I have a square root and that I can't take the square root of a negative number. So I'm going to say that the 5x plus 20, again, has to be greater than or equal to 0. Always start out with greater than or equal to 0, and then go ahead and solve it. So in this case, I'm going to minus my 20. 5x is greater than or equal to negative 20. Divide by 5. This time I divided by a positive number. Since I divided by a positive, I leave my sign alone. X is greater than or equal to negative 4. So in this case, on my number line, I'm at negative 4. I'm going everything greater than or equal to the negative 4. So I'm going to positive infinity. Nice infinity sign. I'm doing interval notation, so I'm going from left to right. I'm starting at negative 4. I'm going to infinity. I am including the negative 4, so that n has a bracket. Infinity you can't be on ever, if you can ever get to infinity. And so I can't get to infinity, I use a parenthesis. Number 6, same kind of thing. I'm doing the domain of my square root function. I know I can't do the square root of a negative, and so I'm going to say that the negative 3x minus 24 has to be greater than or equal to 0 to start out with. I'm then going to solve that. So I'm going to add my 24. Negative 3x is greater than or equal to 24. Dividing by negative 3. Again, I divided by that negative number. So x is less than or equal to negative 8. I want to put that in interval notation. Wherever negative 8 is, I'm less than or equal to that. So keeping in mind, when I go from left to right, I'm going from negative infinity to negative 8. Can't be on infinity, so I have my parenthesis. I am equal to the negative 8, so that end's going to have a bracket. So always start these ones out with whatever's under the square root. Only the part under the square root has to be greater than or equal to 0, and then solve it as appropriate.